What's up, guys? This is Jonathan with the Iron Will Collective, and for today's video we're going to be going over a pretty common question. Now the question is, which should come first, cardio or weights? So I've been asked that by people who generally are just getting into a more consistent routine and haven't established something that works for themselves. And so, great question. I love when I get asked that because it really shows that you're considering everything as a variable, as opposed to, well, running's an exercise, so it should be just as good as weightlifting, when in reality they're actually two very different things. So let's say your goal is to get big, because right now maybe you're 120 pounds fully grown and soaking wet, but you don't want to be 120 pounds fully grown and soaking wet. You want to weigh more than that. So naturally your goal is going to be in a calorie surplus, which means you're actually taking in more calories and more energy than you are exerting, than you're burning, and therefore giving your body the proper conditions to build lean muscle tissue if you're exercising properly, or fat. Now, if that's your goal and you've stumbled upon this question, well, should I cardio, should I lift weights? Because cardio is part of a good, well-rounded program and should be interspersed at the very least. I'd recommend once a week. I'm talking, get your heart rate up, keep it up. It's been shown and proven time and time again. Cardio health, 30 minutes a day minimum, is going to be very, very highly beneficial. But we'll bring it back. So your Mr. wants to gain some weight, and you're wondering whether you should lift weights or hit the treadmill and do some cardio first. So I get that there are definitely some people who are going to want to try and do a lean bulk, which is essentially keeping your caloric surplus just over what you would be eating to maintain your weight, and therefore gaining your lean body mass with the minimal amount of fat. So the logic that is used is basically, if you can maybe do some type of a fasted cardio before your workout, you're going to be putting your body in a state to burn fat, and then from there you're going to lift the weights to stimulate the growth from muscle tissue. It sounds pretty logical, but that's just not how it works. That's not how the body works. So when it comes down to it, this question has a very simple answer, and it's really all predicated on what your goals are. So that's step number one, knowing what you want to do. If you're skinny fat, so if you don't have a very large amount of muscle and you're not exactly overweight either, you have muscle hiding under fat that kind of puts you in that gray area of skinny fat, then the question becomes a little bit more complicated. Do you want more muscle or do you want less fat? Well, you kind of want both. So my best recommendation would be, in any case, if your goal is to gain muscle, let that determine your workout for that day. Do the weights first. I'm not saying don't do cardio if your goal is to gain weight. I'm just saying spare your energy for what is going to require the most effort based off of your goal, and then from there add in the other stuff, accessory items. So 30 minutes of cardio, light cardio, to cool off after a really nice weight training session, resistance training, is going to benefit you in more than just one way. So that's definitely something to consider. Now, if your goal is to lose weight, it can get a little complicated even there. Now, you can lift the weights to build more muscle tissue, which is more metabolically demanding and would therefore increase the amount of calories you burn at rest. Or you can take a little bit more targeted approach that day and do your cardio first. I'd recommend that if you were planning and if you're able to push yourself into a higher heart rate zone, so a higher effort level and intensity, and from there maybe add some weights in after your cardio or treadmill, elliptical, whatever your cardio of choice is. After that session, start hitting the weights minimally at first, because you have to take in everything into consideration. Now, fatigue hits on different levels, more than just the muscular level. Fatigue actually accumulates in the nervous system as well, the central nervous system. because that's what is communicating to your muscles to do work. So if you do hit the treadmill because your goal is weight loss and then you hit the weights after, let's try and find a nice level of moderation here as you keep your energy levels in balance. The goal takes priority over everything, so let that dictate what you're going to be doing that day. What comes first, cardio or weights? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to gain weight in the form of muscle, then I would highly recommend opting for the weights. If you want to lose weight in the form of fat, I would highly recommend putting your energy towards a more high intensity cardio, as well as weights, maybe on a different day, different occasion, but you can also opt to do it on the same day. So all in all, what these things are tools in your bag, tools that you can use to help you achieve your goal and get from where you are to where you want to be. There's no right or wrong, and if you want to gain muscle but you just hit the treadmill first because that's what you felt like doing that day, well, there's some stock in that too. Variety is pretty important in terms of your fitness, but to an extent. Above all, I would recommend taking a step back, looking at what it is you want to accomplish, making a plan, and sticking to that plan for at least a few weeks so you can see what's working and what's not. From there, change it up. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening to me. And if you have any questions, like always, just drop them down below and we will be checking them out. So thanks for that. Stay strong. Iron Will Collective. Thank you.